This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and I really hope that this my voice is coming through well because I'm trying these new headphones, and I think I finally figured out how to work them. So, but it's going to be a great day because I have a debut author to talk to, and I love debut authors because I remember being a debut author, and to have someone as excited about the story I wrote is just a huge big deal because for anybody who's a writer, it can be very solitary and it can be very difficult to just to get through the whole story and get it the way you want it. So it's always fun to talk to writers who are have created something brand new for all of us to read. And her name is Lisa Rowe. So after graduating from the S.I. Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University and spending many years as an advertising creative director and copywriter in New York City, Lisa Rowe accepted the tougher job of a stay-at-home mom, amen, sister, and turned to writing fiction, mostly to entertain her kids, but then to tell her own stories. And I'm sure part of that writing process was a therapy. We'll get to that in a second. A classic firstborn, a reluctant empty nester, and a Dr. Doolittle wannabe, Lisa lives in New Jersey with her husband and 3 incorrigible dogs. Welcome to the Neighborhood is her debut novel with Sourcebooks. You can find what Lisa's up to by signing up for her newsletter at her website and following her on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads. And I've got links for all of that in the write-up of the show. Welcome, Lisa. How are you?
Thank you, Patricia. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I've heard such amazing things about Syracuse University and the public communications programs and everything else. Did you feel like that just made you a better writer in general, or how much of that fed into you wanting to move into fiction writing?
Well, it's funny. Syracuse Communication School is a great school, and P.S., I went there a million years ago, so whatever I say about it now might be different. But I actually went through the advertising program where I was really taught to be an account executive, which is not the writing end of advertising at all. So I really kind of learned to write as an advertising person. I was a copywriting and creative director from the other copywriters and creative directors I worked for when I first got into the business. My very first job was as a typist. That was pre-computer, I'm embarrassed to say. And I learned from them. So that's where I started writing. And, it's interesting because advertising copywriting is not fiction. You have a very specific goal you have to meet in terms of selling product. But it definitely gave me, I think, what is a little bit of my voice, which is this sort of like get it out in 30 seconds and, make it clear, entertain, get someone's attention, make a point. So I think that is where that all started.
Right, because it has to be succinct. I mean, people aren't going to read 3 pages about why they should buy this car. I mean, it's got to be like catching you right then. That hook has got to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. So honed my craft there.
Yeah,
that
absolutely. So you took the tougher job of stay-at-home mom, which is, and a lot of people are like, oh, but unless you've been a stay-at-home mom, and I know there's a lot of women out there that work outside the home as well as at home, and it's a lot because you're never off.
Correct.
When you stay at home, I mean, good luck going to the bathroom ever by yourself again because it's just never going to happen.
Absolutely.
So your privacy's gone. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
So how old were your kiddos when you started writing your fiction?
Well, to your point of never having any privacy and never having any time to yourself, I really didn't do any writing until my kids were old enough to kind of go off and have, their own space and their own time. And I have to say that I know a lot of writers right now who have very young children and are managing, to write beautiful books and get them published and even with infants. And I just was never that kind of person. I sort of focused on the thing that was in front of me, and at the time it was my kids. So my kids were, I'm going to say middle school, so 12, 14, around then when I first started writing fiction, picked up fiction again. So I had been away from writing anything for a very long time.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting because I have friends of mine who, I feel like they're so much farther ahead than I am in the writing careers. But when we all started around the same time, one of my friends, her son was in high school, pretty self-sufficient. I have another friend whose kids, her youngest one was in middle school, like you're talking about, where I had kids that were, 2 and 4, 6 and 8.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, your brain is definitely different at these different ages of life. So for anyone out there saying, but how can so-and-so do it? It's like, but you will find your time. Just keep writing.
Absolutely.
Just keep writing your notes. Just keep doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that that your focus is different at different parts of your life. So, I was very focused on raising my kids. I really couldn't think beyond that. And you read in my bio, I told my kids a lot of stories. I made up a lot of stories. But I wasn't really doing that for myself. I wasn't telling the story that I felt I needed to tell at the time. And also, everyone is so different. It's so hard not to compare yourself to everybody else's journey. But like I said, I know people who said, "Oh, I'm pregnant. I have to go into labor and have a baby before, but I'll be back finishing my manuscript tomorrow." And I have friends right now, debut authors. One young man, I call him, who is lovely, and his book is coming out next month. He's my daughter's age, and he has 2 books coming out next year. And it's just, everyone is so different. And I will admit, I know I shouldn't really talk about our age or whatever, but I was 50 when I started writing fiction for myself, and that was 12 years ago. I had been working on it for that long. So do the math or don't do the math.
Yeah.
But, so it's really so hard to, sort of just stay on your own path and, do what you can in the time that you have. Being a mother is really hard. And I was exhausted when my kids were young, just exhausted all the time. There was no space to do anything else. So the time comes, if you're the kind of person like me who needs to do it, sort of one big heavy thing at a time.
And I don't think, I worked ER, I worked a lot of nights and everything before I had kids. And I don't think I'd ever been that tired after, especially the first 6 months after the baby's born, because first your body's been through insanity. Our daughter, Emma, she was a C-section, and then I was able to have our daughter, Caitlin, through vaginally. And so my recovery was very different for both. And then we adopted 2. So I always tell our younger 2, y'all are the easiest labor ever. You just walked in the front door. It's fabulous.
Oh my God, that's wonderful! Wow.
Yeah, but it was just different. But then, like you're saying, you focus on different things at different ages. But sometimes your brain goes there, sometimes it doesn't, and so give yourself a break, because
absolutely
everybody has bad writing to everybody. Nora Roberts didn't start writing till her kids were middle school, I believe. Right? They were decently. They could make themselves a sandwich. They were old enough.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
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 And I
so
also
don't beat
say
yourself
that
up. So
all the time you don't think that you're writing, you're collecting material. Nora Ephron said everything is copy. I now write what I call mom-com. And so I am taking all the things that happened to me while I was raising my children, and I'm using them in my work. And, you don't have to write mom-com in order to have been, a mother who now writes, but, all the experiences you've had during that time are useful and will help you.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Like, you can take just a little, notebook. You can write in that. You can text yourself. I text myself stuff all the time. Like, don't forget to put this in. Was it one time and I've mentioned it before on the show, but one time I had a coffee shop scene in one of my books, and I couldn't come up with anything really creative about orders people call out. So I just sat at Starbucks for like 3 hours one day and just wrote down every single order.
Right.
And
That's brilliant. I love
of
that.
course, it was a break for me, right? It was a break for me.
Right.
But it was also like, man, people are weird.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know?
Oh my God. You see a lot at a coffee shop. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stuff people talk about, they don't think anyone listens. It's like,
Right.
really? I'm sitting right here.
Yes. Excellent material.
Yes. Well, how did you do this with, were you part of a writer's group when you started your fiction writing?
So the very first thing I did was take a little adult continuing education course, those little flyers that come through, the little catalogs that come through the mail. I took a course called Just Right, which took place in a little classroom in a church, a couple towns over, run by a woman who is a fiction writer and author. And it really was just to get you past that stumbling block of like, I want to write, but I can't write, or I don't know how to write, or I'm afraid to write. What am I going to write about?
Sure.
And it was really so great. You just basically, it was a big group of people, and we all sat in this classroom, and we wrote little essays or a paragraph or a little short story, and we read them out loud. The only goal was to get yourself to put pen to paper. And from there, two things happened. I was invited into a short story writing workshop with the same author, the same teacher. And I also did form a writer's group with some of the women who I had been in that class with. And we are all still very friendly today, and that was a while ago. So, yeah. And we would go to the cafe in Barnes & Noble by us every week for years. And, everybody would get out their laptops, and we keep adding to the table. You have those little two-person tables and push the tables together, and, everybody would put their laptops on the tables and write. So that was great, and those women are all still very good friends of mine. And then I think you just asked, did I join a group? The other thing that I do definitely want to shout out to is the Women Fiction Writers Association, which is a very large national group of women who write women's fiction. And if any of your listeners are women fiction writers, absolutely join this group. It absolutely changed my life. And I didn't join them until after I had already written a few manuscripts that had not gotten anywhere, but it's a great organization that offers workshops and retreats and conferences and just all kinds of super support. And I've made so many friends through there, and everyone is very generous and very supportive. And so as a writer, that's the kind of, thing that you had mentioned earlier, we have a lot of solitary time. So this is, a very good way to connect with our community. So I highly recommend
for
Women
sure.
Fiction Writers Association. Yeah.
What's their website? Do you know offhand?
I think it's www.womenfictionwritersassociation.com. I'm going to try to look it up while we're talking.
Okay. And then I will also put a link in the write-up of the show.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, too, it's also important because, a lot of people, I remember being in writers groups and, small sessions that people will do breakout sessions and what have you. And you would have people in there like, but I'm a tech writer, so I don't need a proofreader. I know my story's doing fine. Or I'm write grant proposals, or I wrote fiction in high school or whatever. And all that's great. It's important. But if you don't get another set of eyes on your paper or your work, you're just asking for disaster. Because as brilliant as we all like to believe we are, and a lot of us are, sometimes stories don't work. And we don't see it because we read it all day, and we are filling in the blanks as we're reading.
Right.
So, get somebody you trust to proofread, and don't take it personally.
Yes, which is very hard. Very hard.
Yes.
That's one of the things you have to learn as a writer is to take critique. And my idea of taking critique is like pouting for 2 days and saying I'm never speaking to that person again, and then sort of realizing, oh yeah, they're right. And, they're not, it's not me that they're, I I couldn't see that I didn't make this clear, or I couldn't see that this is not, the way something should end, or, any number of things.
Right. So let's talk about your book that just came out. It's a debut novel, and it just came out Tuesday. It's called Welcome to the Neighborhood, and has a super cute cover. It's pink.
Thank you.
You can find it at Target and Barnes & Noble and all these fun different places. And if you check out her Instagram, she's got all of these pictures of them going around and seeing it at the different stores. So if you see it, take a picture and then tag Lisa on social media.
Yes,
again,
please.
I have all of her social media links up. So writers love this. And just so you know, every writer loves this. I mean, if you've read, Kristen Higgins for years and years, whatever, and her new book comes out, or you see one of her books, take a picture with the book in the store and send it to her. I mean, every writer loves this. So Lisa will love this. So send it.
I will love it. I will absolutely love it. Please send it to me. Yes. 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 Someone just told me that they are taking the book to LA on vacation, and I said, "Oh my God, please send me a picture of that, because it's pouring rain in New Jersey and dark and damp, and I would love a picture of at least my book gets a sunny day. That would be great."
Yes. Yes. So tell me about the story.
Okay, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. It's the story about a woman named Ginny Miller, who, after years of struggling to make ends meet, she falls for this really sweet guy named Jeff, and he invites her and her 11-year-old daughter named Harry to move in with him into the home where he lived with his ex-wife, where he raised his family, in a very Tony suburb in New Jersey. And she thinks that's a great idea. She has no qualms about it. I mean, she and Harry live in a fourth floor walk up in Queens and share a bedroom. And the idea of moving into his house seems lovely. I mean, she doesn't care that she doesn't care about material things. She's an artist, and that's not really what's sparking it. But, it's a beautiful town, a great house, a big backyard, a swing set, kids on the street, a good school system. So she's sold. And then she meets the neighbors. Let's just say chaos.
Okay.
Chaos ensues. Chaos ensues.
Chaos ensues. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Did you bring in some of this from your own experiences growing up, like you have the ever shifting alliances of PTA moms and Real Housewives contenders and Mean Girl daughters and all this? Is this all from personal experience, witnessing?
Well, I like to say that no one in my book is real, that I like to call my characters Frankensteins, because I take pieces of people I have seen here, there, and everywhere and, stitch them together to become a completely fictional character. But I do live in New Jersey. I do live in an upscale town. I have raised my children here. I do have a daughter who has, been through the school system, and I was a PTA mom, and I did a lot of volunteer work. And so, without pointing anybody out, I'll just say that, some of this was inspired by. And then, one of the other things that, that is not as obvious is that I really wanted to tell the story about somebody moving into a new town and starting again and starting over, because I have an experience of having to move around a lot when I was a kid and as an adult. And every time you move around, you have to sort of, reinvent yourself. Not reinvent yourself, that's the wrong thing. You have to reposition yourself to fit into what's already happening in the area where you just moved in. So, do you change yourself? Do you change your appearance? Do you change the way you act? Do you go along to get along? Or do you, stand up for yourself and say, this isn't me? And I think that's the dilemma that both the mother and the daughter have in this book, is that they have been thrust into a neighborhood that really isn't anything that they've ever known before. And, so they sort of have to navigate their way through it. So that's a concept that is near and dear to me, because I am, I'm like what they call a happy introvert. Like I can do an hour talking to you on the phone and we can have a great time, but then my energy levels go down and I just want to sit and write my book or read a book or whatever. So I'm not really great at those big social, I don't know anybody, I'm just going to talk to everybody type thing. So I could relate to my main characters in that situation very strongly.
Yeah. Well, and I think everybody can certainly relate regarding moving and having to start over, because we all do it at different stages of our lives. But I mean,
right,
when it's just you, it's a different perspective versus you and a child.
Right.
Like, yeah. Because you feel like, well, should I fit in to make it better for her or him, even though I don't necessarily agree, or, I do, whatever. So it's interesting, the idea.
And that is absolutely.
It can be,
Yeah. And that's absolutely my main character's perspective. Should she, if it was just her, she might have turned around and moved out. But, what she thinks she wants for her daughter makes her sort of tolerate certain situations that she may not have prior to that, if she was on her own.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah, like you said, being a mom's heart.
Yeah, exactly. At every stage, my kids are all adults now, and I still have, my moments. So.
Oh yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I think sometimes our kids, of course, they always want to know that you're that mama bear that's always going to be ready, to be there for them, whatever it is, right? So it's
right.
It's
and you will.
Yeah, it's a definite process. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's interesting because I'll tell my kids, it's like, look, I'll stand up for you if whenever that has to happen, but you got to own your choices too. So I mean, it's just not a you don't get a blank check, right? Because you can't just be whatever you want and then expect me to defend bad behavior. I mean, you're going to have to own what you do.
Well, there's that. Yes, absolutely.
Which, I'm sure with these neighbors in this town, there's some people that need to be doing that, and they're just not. Bad behavior is rewarded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they don't see it as bad behavior. Everyone's perspective is different. One man's bad behavior is, another person's like, oh, look how cute and funny that kid is. So there's that too. Yeah.
Oh, they're so precocious. It's like, no, they're not.
Right.
Really not. Okay, so you've got Welcome to the Neighborhood. It's out now. How did you go about pitching this? What was your process with Sourcebooks?
Well, so I took a workshop a couple of years ago. I'm sort of backing up and working my way into getting to that. I took a workshop a couple of years ago, and part of the workshop was an opportunity to pitch, to give a 30-second pitch to some agents. We had, sort of at the end of the workshop, we all went to an agency, and I went there with a paragraph, and there were 15 of us in a room, and we went around in a circle, and everybody, gave their spiel, and I went last, and I had made up, like an hour prior to that, I made up this genre that I thought I was like, oh my God, I'm a genius. I just thought of this. I'm going to call my work Mom-Com. And having, living in a bubble, having absolutely no idea that Mom-Com is actually a thing. It's not a widespread thing. It's a relatively new genre, but it's a thing. But I thought I made it up. And so one of the things that I did in my presentation was that I said, that this book is Mom-Com. And an agent from across the room said, oh, Mom-Com, I love that. But, she didn't say, Mom-Com, I love that, give me your manuscript. She just said, Mom-Com, I love that.
Right.
So, nothing happened. And I finished the book. And when the book was done, I sent it to her. And she, it wasn't as easy. It took longer. And, I had already sent out, 75 queries and gotten rejections from a lot of agents. I finally got it to her desk, and it took her a while to read it, but she ended up loving it as she loved the Mom-Com. And that agent is Rachel Ekstrom from Folio Management. Okay. And I started working with her and another agent at at Folio, because sometimes they do these tag team agenting things with Erin Numata. Erin Numata is my other agent. And they sold, I worked with them for a while. For about 6 months, we worked back and forth to revise the book, and then they sold the book to Source Books. So that's kind of how it went. Yeah. It seems so
it's a process.
Simple and easy in telling it. It's like, oh, so they sold it. No, it's, it was it was a lot of rejection. It was a lot of rewriting. It was a lot of time waiting. It's just, you really have to, have a stiff upper lip, for this kind of stuff. But, in the end, they sold it to Source Books, which was thrilling. Very excited about that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's interesting because people think, oh, I want that book. And then, they just write you a check. It's like, absolutely not. I mean, there's this whole process that happens. And what has always floored me is there's different things that writers do. So you submit and you get a rejection. And there's a thing called submit, revise, and submit. So they will, write. So they'll say, well, I like what you've done here, but if you'll fix these things, I'll read it again. And so a lot of times, if for those who don't know, a book proposal is a synopsis, so a long overview of your story. And then the first 3 chapters is usually your synopsis. It depends on what the agency or publisher wants. So read the submission guidelines, please, because like 50% of the people who read submission guidelines don't do it. So there's that, but then you have all the stuff that goes on. So you've got, the submission, the revise. A lot of people don't revise and resubmit it. Like, I was talking to someone and they said like 90%. And I just think, oh my God, you got a bite. Why are you submitting it back? Yeah. I mean, maybe that's somebody who doesn't realize how rare it is to be able to score an agent. I heard a number, and this might be wrong, but I heard that it's easier to get into Harvard than to get an agent. So if you get a bite from an agent, you follow through. And I had to revise and resubmit once, and I did it. I revised and resubmit, and the agent said to me, no, I don't think this, no, thank you. So, but you still have to do it. I mean, there's there's so much work that you follow, you really just need to have follow through. It's a really big part of becoming a writer and getting to the point where you can see your book on a shelf is all the stuff that everyone sees. Yeah. So I'm trying to calculate this back. You probably got the news of all this right around when the pandemic started then, because it takes about 9 months to a year to get the book, like to schedule it out.
So my book, I got my offer 18 months ago. So 18 months before the book came out. Yes, it all happened. I got the call from my agents in January of 2020. And, then we went into the lockdown March of 2020. And so I spent a good part of that time, the next 6 months where I couldn't leave my house really anyway, going back and forth, revising my book with my agents. And then it was on submissions sort of still during, the pandemic time. And, pandemic's it's still with us. I mean, I personally am still kind of in lockdown because my husband is immune compromised. So we're really still very careful. But everything kind of happened while I was, at my kitchen table anyway. So I've been in the same sweatpants / hoodie for 2 years now. Anyone who saw my social media of me doing my pub day crawl on Tuesday, that's like the nicest outfit I've had on in years. You're not going to see that again.
Right.
There's a way for my next book to come out.
Right. I always love it when, I talk to authors before they come on, because there's the question always happens. Is this video? Because, people obviously need to know what this deal is. And the most fun I get to say is, nope, you don't even have to wear a bra.
You said that to me, and I was like, my whole timbre changed for this interview. I was like, I am wearing a bra for those who want to know, but I was like, yay, because also as a person who has been home for the last couple of years, who's been in my sweatpants and pajama bottoms, who hasn't had makeup on, has had my hair in a mussy bun, I am not comfortable on camera I'm not a professional entertainer or whatever. And I just am so in awe of these authors who can spend all this time alone and writing and solitary and then go out in the world and just be so polished and perform so well. So I was so thrilled that you and I are, just chit-chatting like normal people.
Yes.
Made my day.
Just hanging out, no big deal. So yes, so when
exactly.
you come on my show, you do not have to wear a bra, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Even the dudes, you don't have to wear one. If you want to, you can, but whatever works for you, I don't care.
Exactly.
So yeah. So you do have a second book on your website.
I do.
That's coming. The Show Must Go On. Is it the same series? Okay. So can you tell us anything about it?
I can tell you a little bit because it's really still in the process. I have a 2-book contract, so it's definitely coming. It's definitely going to be a book now titled The Show Must Go On, but the title may change. So that's why, I sort of snuck it down at the bottom of my website. But it is a story about a woman whose soccer star daughter suffers a season-ending injury. And her mother convinces her to try out for the high school theater production of The Great Gatsby. And so the book is about, it's really, it's a mom-com, that's my thing. And it's a mother-daughter relationship story, and it does take place in an upscale town, but they are not, the 2 books are not connected. And it's really the story of, sort of the mother's experience volunteering for her daughter's play and all the drama that goes on backstage, with the parents and the moms and all that. So it's right now it's supposed to be coming out August 2023. So, but I'm in the middle of revising. I just got an edit letter back last week from my editor, and we're working on more. So I don't know if dates and titles and things are going to change, but that is going to be the book. So I'm very excited.
So a lot of
because go ahead.
You're very excited.
No, I was just going to say, I am a former drama mama. So my daughter was an actress, and so it's just going to be it's a really fun book for me to be presenting to people. Oh, for sure. I mean, when you have kind of an anchor of a story that everybody knows, The Great Gatsby. Or a lot of people were forced to read in school, or watch the movie.
Yeah. So it kind of helps tie it in, to kind of give you a place to start. But also, I mean, I remember my brothers; they both played football, and I'm in Texas, so it's huge here. One played offensive line, and one played defense, and both of them were predicted to go all state their senior years, and about game 3 or 4 for both of them, each of them blew out their knees for different reasons. Just that was it.
Oh God! Wow.
And so one brother just he was going to tackle someone and his knee just locked, and so he went and his knee stayed, and he ripped his ACL, and my other brother got tackled and ripped his ACL. So, and neither one of them were thinking they were really going to play. If they got to play in college, it was going to be a very small, school. But it's just it. I mean, that people just don't realize, they're going to play, like you're saying, season-ending injury. You have to have those grades there because, things change. Right. And, one of the things that I did with it's a teenager, the daughter in the book is a teenager, is that, a lot of these kids have been playing since kindergarten, and that's their life. Yeah. That's their world, that's their social life. And when you can't do something that you've been doing your whole life, especially when you're 15, where, the whole world is, is dramatic. I mean, it's a big deal. Everything's dramatic. Yeah.
Everything's dramatic. So, this story is about a woman trying to, kind of get her daughter through this period where, the daughter thinks her world is over. So,
sure.
there's a lot of that. Yeah. Yeah, because it's a lot, you
Yeah.
know, to be, and those injuries are so, you know, obviously they're never your fault, and you generally don't have any control over whether you're going to be injured or not. So it's really a shock when it happens to you.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, you know, you say that, and I have a cousin who, she was about 18, 19, had played volleyball, basketball, you know, all of it. And I think about a year after she graduated high school, she was in a car accident. It wasn't a bad one, but it was enough to mess up her back. And then, you know, now she can't play for quite a while. And she just, I remember talking to her many times. She was just like, I don't know what to do, because she was coaching. She was, you know, to go into school, and she was coaching. She was helping other kids, and then she'd play, you know, just for fun. And now she can't do it. And it just changed the whole trajectory. So, yeah, that's a huge, big deal. Yeah. So, wow, you really hit a deep subject there that, you know, kind of on the surface doesn't seem like a deep, but it is. It's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. And you know, when you think about it, it all has to do with the whole concept of identity. You know, what is your identity? Yeah. How do you present yourself to the world, and how easy is it to change that? Because, you know, this girl who's been playing soccer her whole life tries out for the school play. I mean, those couldn't be two more different worlds in many respects.
Right.
So, you know, it's an interesting challenge.
Right.
And I hope will work out.
You also have different. Right. And you also have different types of personalities in the different groups.
Yes.
As well, depending on how big your school is, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can have some really interesting dynamics going on there for sure.
Yes. Yes. Well, fingers crossed.
Wow. It sounds fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and pencil you in for August of next year for the show.
Perfect. I'd love. It'll take me a lot of time to decide the bra situation by then.
Yes. We still probably won't need to wear bras then either. So, and that'll be great. Which means that we need to get sponsored by like Torrid or, you know, Victoria's Secret or someone to encourage people to wear cool bras for the show. So if you're listening, I'm ready for you to sponsor this show. Or, you know, Sheen or whatever, you know, group wants to come talk to us. Soma. But so you've got this, and you've got your next one. Do you have any other like indie projects or any other smaller projects you're working on along with these?
You know, I really don't, because like I mentioned about being a mother and just being like laser focused on that for a while, I'm really laser focused on whatever story I'm working on. Like, I think about it all the time. I have this fantastic thing called Aqua Notes, which is a waterproof pad and pencil that I keep in the shower because I come up, you know, I dictate into my phone when I'm driving. So I'm just really sort of all consumed with like getting, you know, the story and that down. And so I kind of am my husband calls it single stringing your projects. Like I do one thing and then, you know, if I've got some time, like I wrote a couple of essays in between, you know, Welcome to the Neighborhood being finished and starting The Show Must Go On. But mostly I'm just working on the one project, you know, just full blast.
Okay. So you're ready. And then do you have something like a third book planned, or do you have a continuation of the series? Do you have something bubbling for after this one?
I have two ideas that I cannot talk about because they're so unformed, and I have not discussed them with either my agents or my editor. But I do have two things, and it'll be in the same, you know, like Lisa Rowe brand. I'm using two finger quotation marks around it. You know, the sort of the same kind of, you know, all my stories take place in suburban New Jersey. They are mother-child relationships. They are, you know, there's a little bit of romance. I didn't actually talk about the romance in either of my books, but there's a little bit of romance in every book. You know, it's not a romance, but it's really a mother-child, mother-daughter story. But there's always some romance because, you know, yes, we're moms and we're mama bears, as you mentioned before, but we're also humans. So there's other aspects of our lives that are very important, I think very important to include in the story. So, yes, but I do have two percolating ideas exactly, which I maybe when I come back next August, I'll say more.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right about the romance part because mamas need some romance, you know? And so that just seems like it's a no-brainer, but it's weird because people are like, oh, well, they're married. It's like, and?
Yeah.
Will it all end to them? Like, please.
Right.
That's
right.
It's really important, by the way. So,
exactly.
Everybody. The Senate has confirmed Miss Judge Jackson, so she will be the first
fantastic.
Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. So it is a done deal. This is wonderful.
Super exciting. Super exciting. Oh, I'm glad you told me. I'll have to run downstairs and turn on the TV after we're done.
Feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and
Excellent.
I think that you were talking about the mother-daughter relationships. That what pops in my head right now is that, I don't know if you've seen it, but that picture of her daughter looking at her while she is being, oh, God, what a picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just
that's super
my
exciting.
mom.
Yeah. That's exciting when it's very cool when you do things as a mother proud of. And I know you saw those pictures of me on Tuesday with my husband and my 2 grown children who both do not live near me and both got on trains and came out to see me, spend the day with me, because they were just sort of so saying how proud they were and excited they were. And I have to say that one of the writing is a long and often disappointing process, as you know as well. And I have threatened to quit writing so many times. Damn it, I can't do this anymore. I'm just done with them. And I never quit because I wanted my kids to see me succeed. I didn't want my kids to see me quit. I wanted to show my kids that I was more than just somebody who made grilled cheese. And so it kind of sort of goes around to what you're saying about Judge Jackson. I mean, it's just sometimes when the things you do for yourself are the things that you do for your kids as well.
Yeah.
Just examples you
sure.
set or work really hard at setting. So.
And one thing I wanted to shout out for all moms is please, please, please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Do your annual checkups. Do your, if it's time to do mammograms, please do those. I know they're not fun. If you have any concerns about your health or wellness or something's changed, please advocate for yourself and talk to your physician or your healthcare provider. We're really good as moms at putting ourselves last.
Absolutely.
And please don't do that. So I'm a big, huge ovarian cancer advocate, awareness advocate. And so, we see so many women that were feeling these symptoms for way too long and just didn't ask, didn't advocate for themselves, didn't. And so it's important that you really step up and say, okay, I have to do this for me so I can continue to take care of the people I care about.
Right.
So it's important. So please, please, please do those things. Take care of yourself, ladies. And if you're listening, gentlemen or ladies who have significant others, female significant others, please encourage your significant others, your loved ones, people you care about, to advocate for their health and, take care of themselves. So it's important. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here today. I've absolutely adored talking to you. And I cannot wait to hear about your next book. And, I've already got your book, so I'm super excited to go take it around and let it have some vacation time in the sun.
Take a picture.
I will.
And thank you so much for having me. This was really a blast. I really enjoyed it. Well, I'd love to come back and do it again next year.
Excellent. And you come back sooner than that. You don't have to wait the whole time.
Okay, good. You're on.
So this has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. I have been talking to Lisa Rowe. Her debut novel came out this past Tuesday called Welcome to the Neighborhood, and it is a mom-com, and you will love it. It's a lot of fun. And then you can also find her at her newsletter, her website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, and as well, all those links are in the write-up of the show, as well as her link for her book. And I will also put the link in for the women's fiction writers for anybody who might be interested in reaching out to them. So thank you again, Lisa. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody listening, take care of yourself and keep on reading.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.